Thank you very much. My name is Teresa Marquez. I'm a member of the Mothers of East LA, president of Boyle Heights Stakeholders Association and Resurrection. And I am also member of the advisory board for Excite and DTSC committee. I'm going to tell you, I own property and live in Boyle Heights. My property happened. I'm sure you're aware of the contamination area that they have outlined for you. Well, we don't trust them. The community doesn't trust them, and I want to thank our Councilman Huizar to come and support us and advocate for a better job done. They're not doing a job. Out of 10,000 homes that I don't know how they got that number, but it's 110,000 properties that have been notified. So they have 10,000 properties that they're supposed to clean up, yet only 500 have been notified, and only 186 have been cleaned up. As you could tell, they're not doing an efficient job. And the other thing is that my house is basically half a mile north of the boundaries that they think is the contaminated area. My house has been tested, and my house has been tested and shown that it's over 1,000 parts per million on the ground, and in some parts 1,500. And the acceptable is 80 parts per million. So you could tell how badly DTSC has allocated the areas that need to be done. And I hope that Councilman Huizar helps us to make sure that that extended area is also included on the testing. But it's devastating to see the contamination. And if you're in denial that this is happening, the rest of us were in denial. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Walsh?
John Walsh at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential. I think the last speaker has to understand. Your skin is not white. The only way you get treated with respect at this racist city council is if your skin is white, and especially if you live west of La Brea, and especially if you're my religion, Jewish. I just remember the song, if you're black, stay back. If you're brown, you can stay around. But white is the number one thing. This place has been poisoned. The battery Exide has poisoned this area, and they're very, very, very slow in cleaning it up. That's because you people don't have white skin, and you're not rich, so they treat you like shit. And everybody knows that, and I want one person to get up and say anything else.
Next speaker, Wayne Spindler, followed by Eric Previn.
This is a horror waiting to happen. 23, it says it's in CD5. Now the Jews are being attacked by all of these DTSCs. Now this is hit from CD14 to CD5. My God, Paul Koretz never told me this. Encino's never been warned about this contamination spreading all the way from Boyle Heights to Encino. Jesus Christ, what a catastrophe. Thank God now that we know. We must fight back against this environmental disaster. The city charter says on section 2.1 of page 200, no Hebrew is allowed to lose property value due to contamination from soil poisoning. Remove this from Encino immediately.
Mr. Previn?
Yes, good morning, Council President Martinez. It's Eric Previn from CD2. And obviously, the Exide-related contamination that was, I think, in Vernon initially and is right next to Boyle Heights has been a great concern for many decades. And finally, thanks to, unfortunately, the Porter Ranch disaster, which was in a affluent neighborhood in the west part of near Northridge or whatever, in Chatsworth, whatever that, Porter Ranch, finally, attention was brought forward about this environmental disaster, and every 15 minutes, Weezer and others jump up to be the shepherds that for decades did absolutely nothing. And unfortunately, the governor, who has come forward finally with $176 million, which is extraordinary and long, long overdue, and the failures of DTSC and DOGGR and all these other agencies that are populated by people just like you sitting around this, many of you who know them, who did absolutely nothing for so long, really, really irked members of the public who have been paying attention. But of course, we are thrilled and pleased that something will be done. And we certainly hope that what will be done is effective at cleaning up the contamination, not at padding with extra engineers to do additional studies and various consultants to bring lots of information that we've already been compiling. I mean, the people in this area have suffered so egregiously that I have to say, it irks me as everybody proudly pulls together here once again, because this has just been a terrible abnegation for way too long. And all I can say is I wish the people who can be brought in to do the cleanup speedy work, and so that they can restore these people's lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Previn. Mr. Koretz?
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to commend Mr. Weezer for his hard work on this issue, and to note the clerical error that places this in CD5. It is actually in Mr. Weezer's district, CD14.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. That concludes cards on this item. Madam Clerk, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Item passes. Thank you.
And Madam President, there is a request that all items go forthwith today.
Very well. Without objection. Thank you. Mr. Bonin, you have a reconsideration on item 18.
Yes, on behalf of Mr. Blumenfield, I'd like to ask to reconsider item 18 for a technical amendment.
Members, let's reconsider item 18 for Mr. Bonin on behalf of Mr. Blumenfield. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote, and you have a verbal amendment?
Yes. Mr. Blumenfield would like to amend item 18 to say that the date for relaxed parking enforcement should be changed from March 5th, 2016 to April 2nd, 2016.
13 ayes.
Thank you.
Okay, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Bonin. Let's move on to item 22.
Item 22, called special by Councilmember Koretz.
Mr. Koretz, item 22.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 750 Edinburgh is a classic LA bungalow court that's fallen into some disrepair, but which can and deserves to be preserved and rehabilitated as a prime example of the kind of rental housing that was built back in the first half of the last century, when LA went from being a sleepy suburb to a burgeoning city. Despite some problems with deferred maintenance, it had residents in it till sometime last year, when it was threatened by demolition by its new owner, and in fact work was begun on the site. The community rallied around preserving the site. Thanks to the effort of the Planning Department's Historic Preservation experts and the Cultural Heritage Commission, Edinburgh was recommended for historic monument status, and I've always supported that, at least in concept. Out of consideration to the property owner, who argued for the infeasibility of preserving the buildings in their current condition, and my own viewing of the disrepair, Edinburgh was then subject to one of the more thorough structural engineering reviews I've seen in one of these cases. The LA Conservancy graciously stepped up to commission an independent review of the bungalow court and concluded that it can be repaired and preserved. And I'd like to thank the Conservancy for its commitment to the review process and to making it as fair as possible. The owners, BLDG Edinburgh, for their cooperation in the process. And I want to thank the neighbors for coming today and for their attention and involvement with this issue. And I think it's time to save the Edinburgh bungalow courts. So I urge an aye vote to adopt items 1 and 2 as recommended by the Cultural Heritage Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. Mr. Spindler? We can do without the clapping, sir. Mr. Cedillo?
Madam Chair, and I've spoken to Councilmember Koretz on this, and I will vote for this, but I do want to note that it's problematic, not so much the declaration of the property as being historic and that it merits conservation and preservation. But what's problematic, and I just want to note this, is that the process in which it takes place, and I've raised this concern before, and it is a problem that has to be addressed if we're going to build housing in the city of Los Angeles. The city of Los Angeles is in need of 100,000 units of housing. Housing is built by developers, and we should be fair to them. And it's unfair, I think, patently unfair, when a developer comes to the city, gets the permits, gets prepared to build the housing, makes the investments, does all the stuff that's puts them right on the edge of ready to go forward, and then we come with late notice to them and tell them that their property is not eligible for the development that they were prepared to make. And so it's not to argue that we vote against this, but to note that we must do better for developers. They need certainty. They need to know that if they buy property and that we permit them to build, that they will be able to do that and that they will not be stopped in the last minute. These points were raised in committee, and Mr. Koretz, we've had this conversation. I'm prepared to vote for this, but I do think it's important to note that as we struggle and challenge with the responsibility of building 100,000 units of housing in this city. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you, sir. We have satisfied public comment on this item, so let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Thank you. Let's move on to item 3, Madam Clerk.
Item 3, called special for cards.
Mr. Walsh, item 3.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. These are the lighting districts. Actually, you do this is Los Angeles Street and 2nd Street. You do a good job on lighting the streets. It wasn't true before, but it has been since the lighting was upgraded. And remember, when you do a good job, I am the first one to thank you and to spread the word. I'm not one of these old guys, all about the clocks. That's not me. So thanks for a good job on city lighting.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. That concludes cards on item 3. Madam Clerk, open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, that item passes. Let's move on to item 4.
And for the record, the ordinance will be held over to March 15th.
Thank you. Item 4.
Called special for cards.
Wayne Spindler, item 4.
Make the Dodgers pay for this item on number 4. This is in Solano and Amador. The Dodgers need to pay for this. Do not let the beleaguered Angelinos living in Solano pay for this. This is benefiting Dodger Stadium. This is not benefiting homeowners. Cars go through Solano and Amador. They go to Dodger Stadium. They come back after they buy beer, have fights with gang members. Then they go back out. And as a result of all these fights with gang members, they need more lighting. Lighting is good. We need much more street lighting. Because when you go to a baseball game, what are the 3 things you need? Popcorn, pot, and prostitutes. So you need lights to accomplish this after dark. And Gilbert Cedillo knows this to be a fact in CD1, but he's taxing the homeowners and the property owners instead of the Satan Dodgers, who do not know to operate their business without fights with gang members. And that's why it's bad. That's why one councilman just crossed over the aisle and agreed to vote with me on this. So yes, join Paul Krikorian and vote no on this item on number 4. Make the Dodgers pay for their own lighting for the prostitutes and pot.
That concludes cards on this item. Madam Clerk, open the roll. Close the roll. And tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Next item, item 7.
And that ordinance will be held over to March 15th. Item 7, called special for cards.
Michael Hunt. I don't see him in the audience. Michael Hunt, item 7. He's not here. Wayne Spindler, item 7.
Once again, another place that needs lighting in CD6. This is in the ghetto, Sheldon Street and Sharp. There are many important business activities in this area. For example, they have excellent sales on rock cocaine and crack. And to do this,
about the item, sir.
you
Stick to
need
the
more,
item. I'm going to have you sit down.
but you need more lighting to accomplish nighttime activities, such as tourists, for example, that want to go and visit an interesting place on Sheldon and Sharp. Where else in the world can you go in a city, the second largest city in America, at night and actually see drug sales on the corners and the police department drive by? It makes a great photo app. So for all the people in China,
You're not speaking on the subject. Thank you very much. That concludes cards on item 7. Madam Clerk, open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
And that ordinance will be held over to March 15th.
Very well. Let's move on to item 1.
Item 1, called special for cards. And there is a request to continue 1B for 30 days to April 1st, and a request to receive and file 1F because it's an owner-occupied dwelling.
Okay, without objection, let's move on to cards. John Walsh on item 1.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, or Jay Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. I have to say that when people come down here with questions about their liens, we tell them what to do and how to approach the city council. They're pulled over to the side. Their lien is postponed for a couple of weeks, and as you know, they never come back. They don't come back because they're satisfied, because their lien has been either radically reduced, as anybody who gets up and protests these liens will find out, or it's been eliminated. In other words, working together, we have been able to save a lot of property owners large amounts of money, and anyone who watches this knows how we fight for the rights of the people who have liens against them, unjust liens. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Next speaker, Patricia McAllister. Item 1.
I am very concerned about people losing their homes. We have enough people on the street. This is Herb Wesson's district, District 10, where thousands of black people are being put on the street. This is item D, D as in David, 3261 South Hillcrest Drive. $550 for noncompliance enforcement fees. $2,215 at 250%, a late charge, which is a collection fee. $336 for code violations fee, at $20.16 for system surcharge, $50.40 late fee, and $114.50 accumulated interest rate, 1% a month. So here we're talking about multiply that by a couple thousand for Herb Wesson, and this is a year. He's not reaching out to the people, telling them what they can do to get these liens off of their homes. I think that this is criminal right here. Now, this 250%, that's abuse. That's criminal. That says you're trying to take people's houses. Reduce that 250% late fee, that percentage, to about 20%. We want the people to stay in their homes. We don't want the mob to get the homes. I am requesting that, and I'm going to try to get some lawyers up in here, because this city needs to be sued. 250%. That's loan shark kind of behavior. What kind of mess we have going up in this council? If anybody charged you 250% interest on anything, you'd be in court. I know I would. What's wrong with you? Get some backbone and some guts and act like you're human. We're here to help the people, not to hurt the people.
Next speaker, Eric Previn. Thank you, sir. Wayne Spindler. You have a minute left.
I'm trying this out with the dog. Please speak. Okay, he's not ready yet to talk, so I'll address it. Notice that $1,288.56 is exactly the amount on B, F, I, J, L, N, P, Q, V. Notice that exact amount just happens to be coincidentally the exact amount on each of those liens and all those different properties. Now, what are the chances of that? What kind of bookkeeping is this? I mean, even a dog can sniff out this corruption. That's right. And we have to stop this bullshit. So we waived CD5's lien on B. That's good. CD5 is the winner today.
Madam Clerk, that concludes cards on item 1. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, item passes. Why don't we move on to our special meeting?
Blumenfield, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Harris Dawson, Weezer, Koretz, Krikorian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rue, Wesson. 10 members present and a quorum, Mrs. President.
Okay, without objection, that item is before us, members.
Item 20 is an item for which public hearing has not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, I have cards on item 20. And I have no members on the queue. So, John Walsh, item 20.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. These are on-call professional service contracts, which we need like a hole in the head. We're supposed to hire people to do the job, city workers. We're not supposed to, but the way these corrupt politicians work it, they hire professional services. Here, they are being hired to be on call. In other words, they don't even have to do the job. They have to be somewhere near the telephone. And what are these jobs that city workers cannot do? We need very highly skilled people to do this job. Well, look at the list. Contractor, Fair and Piers, People Street Project Evaluation, whatever the hell that is, Fair and Piers, Vision Zero Technical Analysis. I would suspect if you cancel this contract, nothing would happen. Nothing bad would happen. line-by-line study and community dash need assessment update. We need more dash buses. We don't have to hire transportation management and design and pay them what? $500,000 to tell us that? The citywide Walk to School Day program, Nelson and Nygaard, I think that's another $500,000. Miracle Mile neighborhood traffic management, why do they need one only? Why do they need a special traffic management plan? Why do we have to pay extra money for the Miracle Mile? Oh, that's because the mayor lives near Miracle Mile. That's why we have to pay a few $100,000 more. And there's 2 contracts for Miracle Mile, La Brea Hancock Park neighborhood. Yeah, neighborhoods where white people are. If you live in a black neighborhood, you won't get that.
Next speaker is Wayne Spindler on item 20, followed by Eric Previn.
Yes, back again. This is completely total dog shit. And that's why the dog is here to, and I agree with the animal that even a dog can see what total bullshit all of this is. Look at all of this waste. We don't have 66,000 city employees, and we don't have anybody that can study whether we need more dash buses. You have to be fucking kidding me. What is Vision Zero technical allowances? Does that mean blind people now are going to be analyzed? And what about the People Street Project? All you have to do is just go up and walk up to people and go, hey, people, what the fuck street projects do you need? You don't need a consultant for that. And the citywide Walk to School Day program, the first thing you need to do is which area of the schools are we talking about? In Encino, the parents walk their kids to school. In the ghetto, you take a GAT with you, and then you walk your kids to school after you pay protection money. We do not need Nelson Niggard. My God, we have Nelson Nigger on this contract. I can't imagine that. How racist. And that's right. And then Gibson Transportation Consulting for Miracle Mile? What's so miraculous about it? We should change the name to Ghetto Mile from Neighborhood Traffic Management Plan. And the Ghetto Traffic Management Plan adding La Brea and, of course, Hancock Park, where most of your campaign donors spend the weekend after they're over in CD6 doing what? Buying crack and drugs underneath those city lights. Vote no.
Thank you for that perspective, Mr. Spindler. Next speaker, Eric Previn.